We're starting, folks. Good evening. Happy Sunday, people. It's Dr. Earl here. And I'm with the one, the only, the mighty, the metal god of YouTube himself, Joe fucking Cronin. What's up, Joe?
What's going on?
All right.
Dr. Earl!
Yeah. This is the thing we wanted to talk. I've been wanting to do for a while. Talking about industrial music. The past, present, and the future of it. And this came to my mind last night when I was at Numbers. What they have on Numbers one time a month. It's a thing called DOS Machine. It's basically a bunch of Argotech industrial DJs playing their stuff from mostly newer groups like Suicide Commando, Viet V Nation, Atheistic Perfection, all that good stuff there. Basically the Argo Tech, the more aggressive industrial stuff there. And mentioned, I remember I was playing my friend Pockets, the clip where you mentioned my name, talking about the new Stabbing Westward record, and basically, and kind of like basically, you mentioned that basically that I think one of the reasons why, do you think that they should have gotten bigger than what they should have, basically?
um, I don't know. Like I always thought they were bigger than I always thought they should have been bigger than they were.
Yeah.
I mean, but they did get on a lot of soundtracks. They did get on a lot of movies.
Hmm.
They did have a gold album.
Yeah,
They
it's true.
they Sony and Columbia really pushed them. Some would probably say that, to be honest, like as a fan, I thought they should have been bigger or more recognized. But when you look at it, Stabbing Westward probably overachieved
Hmm.
because they were lucky enough, I think, to get signed because of the Nine Inch Nails craze that was going on, and
Oh
so
yeah, definitely. Songs about feeling self-loathing, lost love, this situation with your parents or this person right here, and basically that was the thing back then. Mixing with some guitars, some grooving beats and stuff like that. I think there was the only thing you really needed to add was basically samples from war movies where they have motherfucker or die motherfucker or you son of
yeah.
a bitch, fuck you. I know.
Well,
Yeah, go ahead.
Stabbing Westward just released their their four songs from before the kind of like their EP before they ever got signed,
Mm-hmm.
and it's got some of those original samples on it, and they like
Ah,
re-recorded it. It's really good. It's like you got to go look it up.
okay. Mm-hmm.
It's on. You can download it. You can hear the tracks on YouTube. It's IWO Jesus.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I see.
It's like 1989. If you listen to that, that's like that old, like they were kind of going for that wax tracks industrial, like Die Warsaw and
Mm-hmm.
like that sort of thing.
Front 242, basically,
Yeah,
split second. They have this
yeah,
song. They have this one song they play at Numbers every Friday, almost every Friday night. I forgot something about Romeo, so Romeo something there. I gotta look it up once again. It's a pretty damn good show there. It was pretty, basically, excuse me, pretty damn good song there. I mean,
yeah. No, yeah, man. I didn't even, wait a minute. You telling me they still play out there? Is that what you're
yeah,
saying?
well,
What?
split that song split by the Split Second group. Yeah, they still do. It's a song. Let me look it up. It's Romeo something there. I forgot. It's been a while. I posted it on my this music group called. Here we go. I think it's called Rigor Mortis. Yeah, it's called Rigor Mortis. That's the name of the song there. Dun 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 dun. And they still play that at Numbers almost every Friday night. Head up there.
Damn, that's crazy. That's wild. Like that's like God Lives Underwater and all that stuff back in the early '90s.
It's also me and more. They still play songs by Skinny Puppy. Like Tester, Smothered Hope, Warlock. They played that last night, basically.
Mm. Yeah, I still listen to like all that stuff. I still have
Oh
everything.
man, dude.
I
No, go ahead,
the,
sir.
the 2000s I started listening to like Android Lust and like Icebreaker or something and some other things like that. But I still listen to those old original, wax tracks things from back in
Oh
the day.
man, it's sad that Wax Trax is no more. Basically, I guess
Yeah.
what I understand, they had some problems. And I guess TVT, the label that first signed Trent Reznor, they came and helped them out. Basically, they were distributing all those earlier albums by the Revolting Cocks, My Life with the Thrill Kill Cult, everything else there. The first Meat Beat Manifesto album was reissued through there, and now I guess couple of those albums have now been reissued on what is this label called Rykodisc on for a while back. They did that for the Thrill Kill Cult catalog not too long ago.
Yeah, I remember TVT was. I couldn't remember. I used to think that was Reznor's. Like I thought it was Trent Reznor's own label for some reason.
No, that was nothing. That came later on after he signed with Interscope.
Right.
Basically. Yeah.
I used to think that, though.
TBT were a bunch of bitches towards Trent. They basically wanted to control him, probably because he was their only successful act on their label. And I guess what it was is that, and when you have somebody that successful as Pretty Hate Machine was, you're going to hold on to as much as you can, and not let it go, not let them do any other projects. You remember the 1,000 Homo DJ versions of Black Sabbath Supernaut in '91?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was originally supposed to have been Al Jorgensen of Ministry and Trent Reznor on vocals, but TBT prevented that from happening. So Jorgensen had to remove Trent Reznor's vocals, but saved the original version for the Wax Trax box set called Black Box. While the one we started hearing years later on would feature Al Jorgensen's vocals on it.
Black Box.
Yeah.
Box. No, I always thought that that's why maybe they. I think I used to think that that's why they signed Gravity Kills, because they kind of sounded like Nine Inch Nails. So then TBT was, trying to find the closest thing they could sign to Nine Inch Nails to try to do it again, and it just didn't work out.
Yeah, basically every label is going to try to do that, basically. I mean, you remember how many times Geffen Records tried to find the next Nirvana after they disbanded, after Cobain ended his life there.
Like, if there was no Nine Inch Nails, like, because all those things were out, right? Like the Divorsa, the, Skinny Puppy, and just the Wax Tracks, the Can't, all that crazy stuff was out.
Yeah.
And basically, if if Trent Reznor didn't make Pretty Hate Machine, or he didn't exist or whatever, all of these bands would have probably been signed to these like tiny labels. Like they would have, like Stabbing Westward would have continued to release like EPs locally, or maybe they would have been signed eventually by like a TVT or by some small little label, and they all would have had like minor underground success and fair like minor popularity, but it never would have happened. The reason why Stabbing Westward got signed to Sony Columbia is because it's just like anything else. Every record label looked around and said, "Can you believe this Pretty Hate Machine? They're on this label TVT, and this record is just murdering. What do we have that's like this?" And they were clearly looking for anything like that, anything industrial, and so. Yeah, I mean, everybody was also looking for, Nirvana-style bands, too, at that time. They started switching to, we need, anything grunge and Pearl Jam. And, Stabbing Westward was kind of grungy industrial. And so that's why, some people would say maybe they overachieved because people were just signing everybody at that time.
They were, trying to find the next best thing, basically. And let's not forget the Downward Spiral. That record really fucking blew up after the Woodstock 94 performance there.
Yeah, how about TVT was probably just really furious after that.
Because basically what it was, Jimmy Iovine from Interscope Records, he bought TBT to get release Trent from his contract. And then to turn to that, Trent decided to put together his own label called Titled Nothing, which he would release his material, a band called Prick, and then
later
on Meat Beat Manifesto. They released a couple of albums on that label there.
Yeah. Yeah, and the drummer of Stabbing Westward was in Nine Inch Nails, funny enough.
Chris Venita, I think it is.
Chris Vrenna, yeah.
Chris Vrenna, yeah. He did some good mixes there.
Dude, he was a really good drummer. Like, they had, the one thing about him was he was so crazy on the drums, man. He had some wild, like tribalistic type of off time drum patterns and stuff he would do. They would, when Stabbing made their second CD and third CDs, they kind of went more straightforward with the music as opposed to the long soundscapes and sort of tribalist sounding stuff. And I really think the drums changed that. So
Yeah.
a lot.
But now let's keep in mind there's also a downside to this. Like in around 1993, Skinny Puppy got signed to American Recordings, Rick Rubin's label, And
Right.
basically what it was is that they were supposed to do, it was originally a 3-album deal. The first album they were trying to do for that deal, The Process, which basically was a concept album, they had all sorts of problems. The label kept demanding that they sound more commercial, more like Nine Inch Nails, more like other bands like 16 Volt and Frontline Assembly, who at that time had a metal guitar on an album called Millennium, and bass, which was also badass as well. But basically the label was pressuring them to sound more commercial, sound more like this. And in addition to that, the band members themselves were not getting along, and they were fighting, arguing consistently because there were a lot of issues between the members. Basically, the frontman Nivek Ogre finally said, "Fuck this, I'm gone." He left on the same. Actually, he left on the 1-year anniversary of the O.J. Simpson killings. Believe it or not.
Yeah, dude, I remember that. And I also remember Ogre, buying Ogre's first CD. It's weird. That stuck out in my head after when you said that. I remember buying his,
Yeah.
what was it, 2000 or 99 or
It was
90?
2001. Basically, and let's not forget, I met Nivek Ogre many times. The first time I saw Skinny Puppy was at St. Andrews Hall in Detroit, Michigan. It was in October. I waited a long time. The first band, Less Than Seven, was pretty good, but it was not that good, basically. So basically, the Puppy Duo was doing their show. Awesome set. It was awesome storyline. It was involved in the vivisection, and basically, out of the blue, some idiot hits Dwayne Gottel, one of the keyboard players, on the head with a bottle.
Jesus.
Yeah. So the show had to end right then and there. They had to go and to get him stitches there at some 24-hour clinic. Now, while people were clearing out and heading downstairs to the shelter underneath to dance to whichever music's playing there, I guess it was, some idiot out there jumped on the stage to grab one of the props that Ogre was using, which was a army helmet with half of skin mask on it attached to it that he wore during one of the songs there. Security guards and road crew was on this guy like fucking crazy. It was a fucking battle royal right there. In addition to that, the dog that Nivek Ogre was using for the show was stolen. He had a stuffed dog, which he portrayed himself as a vivisectionist who, I guess, from what I understand,
Somebody's fucking that dog right now to this day. They're
yeah, they
fucking.
actually did find it. They had to go. They'd actually find it. Somebody had
Oh,
probably threw it on the ground, and I guess they were able to retrieve it. Thank goodness. And then in addition to that, here's something else. They got arrested in Cincinnati, Ohio, because of that stage show. Some idiot thought that it was a real dog, called the cops. These undercover agents come in, starts questioning the band, yelling at the group, "Where's the dog? Where's this? Where's that?" And the puppy is like, "Hey, you don't come in here without any identification, without no badge. You just don't come in here, yelling at us, without proving who are you and all that." Eventually, a lot of words were exchanged, and they ended up going to jail, basically, for a while.
I wish that guy had gotten away with the puppy and had been coming in it for years. But I do gotta say, Skinny Puppy, man, the one thing about them is pretty much they never changed.
No, they never did. Well, they
It's
did change after Dwayne Gottel died. Remember all the samples, all the chaotic sounds that was on those earlier records, like Too Dark Park, Last Rites. That basically was
Cold
kind of like,
Manipulate was the first thing I ever heard.
yeah, Smothered Hope, same here. Actually, the one that really got me hooked was the album Cleanse, Fold, and Manipulate. A friend
That's
of
what I
mine,
just, yeah.
Yeah, that was the one that went boom. I heard that. And a friend of mine wanted to show me the introduction to one of the tracks called Shadowcast. So I was like, because it featured a sample from the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, a woman screaming with a chainsaw coming at her. And he was, and basically I was like, holy shit. I gotta listen to this, man. It's like I borrowed the tape, listened to it. I was like, holy fuck. This is a fucking musical onslaught right here.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
like, this is like a Revolution number 9 with electronic beats divided into 10 parts. Holy shit, I gotta get this album. I gotta learn more about this group, you know?
Yeah, I was
And
I was more like I think I was a lot younger, so I kind of heard it. I think I heard it in 1991
mm-hmm.
probably, and I just thought like this sounds cool, you know? Like
No.
as like a 10-year-old or not even, I was probably 8 or 7 or 8 years old, and I thought it was cool because the reason why I heard it so young is because the kid up the street was like about 15 or something like that when I was
Yeah.
8, and so he
Yes.
had all these cool like tapes and CDs and things, and he would play the stuff over his stereo all the time, and so we would hear it, and he'd make copies of it for us if we wanted. Like
Wow.
he's like, "You think that's cool, man? I'll make you a copy of the tape," and he'd give me the tape. So that is how I heard all that industrial stuff, because otherwise I probably would have missed a lot of it, because I mean 1994 I was 10, and that's when grunge really kicked off,
Uh huh.
and a lot of the electronic music kind of moved out.
Yes. Basically, yeah. Yeah. Do you think, well, basically, you described it as basically earlier on we were talking about, the Stabbing Westward now having two original members. And basically, that's kind of like the same thing with they and you brought up something good that every other band has done before. Use the brand name, to sell more tickets and more albums, basically.
Yeah, that's exactly what I think. I think it's clear as day. I may have Chris Hall on the show, and I'm going to ask him, but because like every time they play a show as The Dreaming, which in 2002, when Stabbing Western broke up in 2002, he started a new band called The Dreaming, and they built up a little bit of a crowd, but probably no more than 15,000 people listen to The Dreaming, or have
Yeah.
listened.
Hmm.
So when if The Dreaming says they're touring, 30 people show up, 30 to 60 people show up. If Stabbing Westward says they're touring, 200 to 250 people show up. So I think it's just, unfortunately, that's the case of what's going on. And so I think when I heard the new Stabbing Westward, it's really The Dreaming. It's not. This is just the way that Chris Hall writes music now and sings it. If you listen to the Stabbing Westward stuff, he's got a deeper, lower voice. He screams a little more. Now he's got this kind of higher, new wave, poppy voice a little bit, and it's just something that he's changed over the years. But I like the old, darker, and believe it or not, Stabbing Westward actually, for being an industrial kind of band, industrial pop rock or whatever you want to call it, they actually did more guitars. I think the
Yeah.
newer, the Dreaming stuff has more like synths and drum beats. And I think, crazy enough, Stabbing Westward had more of a rock band feel, but then with like a lot of sample sounds and synthesizers over that.
Hmm.
And I think I prefer that. And I think that's why the new Stabbing Westward just sounds like The Dreaming. But a lot of people who didn't listen to The Dreaming are just like, oh, it's updated Stabbing Westward. It's like nowadays. So like they're not bothered by that. I'm not really either. I like it, but it's just not. It's not what the older stuff was. But I'm still hoping we get some of that eventually.
Yeah, well, I'll probably take a. I guess the public will have to vent their choice, what they like, prefer, the new, old, or the new, basically.
I
You
will
know,
say it's pretty positive though. The 95% all the fans are loving what they did, but there are some people making comments like, "Oh, it sounds like The Dreaming."
it's kind of funny that you mentioned about using the band name to get more sell tickets. That's the same thing they do with Black Sabbath. And
Yeah,
let me explain for anybody out there who are not in the known about this. In around 1986, guitarist Tony Iommi was making a solo record, and he was about to release that solo record until his record label called up and said, "Hey, let's make it into a Black Sabbath album," and they called it Black Sabbath featuring Tony Iommi. And but all the Sabbath diehards, were just like really fucking in a fucking uproar. Ozzy even said, they were dragging the Sabbath name through a pile of shit. And even Ronnie James Dio even said, if what Tony Iommi is doing right now to the Sabbath name doesn't land him in hell, I don't know what it will. He later on did about 5 albums under the Sabbath name. But basically, Tony Iommi would later say, hey, it wasn't my idea, it was the record label's idea. When you have the band, a well-established name, you're going to sell more tickets and sell more records.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. Those labels were just nasty back. I
They
mean, back.
are.
Eh?
They are.
Oh,
Yeah. Gosh, you got
hey,
to also remember, they're there to sell. Whatever. Here's something else I got to bring up there. You heard of the band Carcass?
yeah.
Yeah. In around 1996, they put out an album called Swan Song. It was their last record for few years before they got back together. They were talking about that when they got signed to Sony. They one of their members said that the record executives from them called them up saying, can your singer sound more like James Hetfield? Because Jeff Walker, the singer and bass player, had this type of voice, basically, trying to cash in on that Metallica thing, make him sound more like more mainstream, basically to sell more records, to catch to the mainstream crowd.
Oh yeah, and I'm not surprised. And yeah, they're still bad now. All these record labels are bad now, but no, the record labels now they just, I mean, they're bad now. But there's no, at least back then there was all these, music kind of dictated what was going to get popular next.
Yeah.
It doesn't really feel like that happens at all as much anymore. It feels like the record companies kind of dictate everything now, and then they just produce more of it. Where back in the day, it felt like somebody would create music, and then they would blow up, and then the record labels would all kind of adjust to be like, okay, this is popular now, let's all try to sign bands like this. But then other people might get popular, and then they try to sign bands like that. But all the bands were doing this on their own. But now it feels like the record labels create the musicians that they want, and they're kind of setting the pace for what's popular. Even if it's not that popular, they just tell you it's popular. And that's the biggest difference now, I think, than back then.
Yeah, I know. It's sad because basically it's like they're trying to dictate what we should listen and what should not listen to. Whereas people like myself, you and I, we often go outside of that box and look for other obscure acts. Around the 1990s, City Club back in Detroit, which was my second home for a few decades, basically. They would play groups like 16 Volt, Frontline Assembly, Marilyn Manson when he first started out, basically. But the problem, and here's something else. Yeah, have you ever had this problem? The trendies that would come to you in the industrial club trying to be part of that scene. Have you ever had that?
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, wait a minute. Come to me? What do you mean?
I mean, like if you ever went to an industrial club with all your buddies there, and then all of a sudden you
Yeah.
see all these good,
Oh,
neatly dressed people just trying to wear black, but yet still look kind of preppy-ish,
yeah.
basically trying to fit
What
in.
happened? We had a club called Man Ray in Boston that was very popular, and yeah, every once in a while you would see that. In fact, Marilyn Manson would come to that club a lot with Dita Von Teese and like whatever when he was dating her, and
Yes.
they'd put her in a cage and shit.
Wow.
Yeah, you'd see sometimes the trendies coming in, or what started happening in a different club was the steampunk stuff started happening there too. So then it was kind of like a mix of this. It was just weird. It was a different thing. But yeah, and I've seen that before back in the 1997s
Yeah.
around that time.
Yeah, I know. Same. And I also should stop. We should also shout out these other labels as well. You ever heard of Von Richter?
No.
It was the started by one of the former employees of Wax Trax Records. They had acts like Seal Wolf, The Fair Sex, so one of their side projects called Testify, and other acts as well. I was fortunate to find the Seal Wolf CD. I think it's called Metassison. It's like a German industrial noise, basically. I guess a couple members were part of this support group. I guess it's called Musicians Against Copyright Laws. Basically because one of their songs called White Trash features samples of the Robert De Niro in Cape Fear, basically. Basically.
Oh, that's pretty cool. I haven't seen that, but I'll take a look at it.
Yeah, definitely. Well, it's there was this page that I used to download some of my music from. I guess it's no more, but basically, probably look it up. Seal Wolf discography. I guess. You know,
Yeah.
because it is a very noisy album there. Then, basically, I also got into other more experimental stuff like a project called Techno Animal, which featured one of the guys from Godflesh, Justin K. Broadwick. And then also got into Scorn, featuring the former drummer of Napalm Death, which is
Uh,
basically a electronic dub.
yeah, I remember that. I remember Scorn. That's
Yeah.
that's that's pretty cool.
I had the pleasure of meeting the guy, Mick Harris. Awesome guy, short guy as well.
Oh yeah, short
Yeah,
down there.
yeah, very short. Yeah, he's a short dude. Get it there. Yeah.
It's funny. I called Drew's show earlier, and as a joke, I said I was Trent Reznor, and then I started singing like Trent Reznor, like, but I was being extra whiny on purpose, and it was weird, and I hung up. And I don't know. I just thought that was kind of funny.
I know. Which, by the way, you ought to. By the way, so we also point this out. The lyrical content of these other new industrial bands had to be about self-loathing and whining about this and that.
Oh yeah, very like yeah, very angsty stuff.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
They got picked up at the time.
And we cannot forget some. There's this other record label that used to exist called Cold Meat Industry. Yeah, I don't know if you've ever heard of that by chance. Have you?
I don't. That sounds familiar, but I don't remember.
It was founded in Sweden by a guy named Roger Karmatic, who I'm friends with on Facebook. He closed the doors on his record label due to lots of pressure. Being taking a toll on itself. He had Mortis. He had his group Brighter Death Now, Raison de Tir. His best friend, Linda Baby Dow, whose real name is Peter Anderson. Basically,
Wow, I know some of those. That's pretty
yeah,
great.
more. I was into that for a while. One of the acts that I was really intrigued by is a group called MZ412,
Hmm.
which is basically black industrial, the equivalent to black metal.
Right.
Yeah, and basically, Brighter Death Now is basically considered the pioneers of what is called death industrial, which is equivalent to death metal.
That's pretty cool. I remember that. Yeah. They were the ones at the album cover with the church burning, right?
No, that was MC412. That was, yeah, that's the Burning the Temple of God. That's the name of that album. I have it on my phone here. Pretty good
Yeah.
stuff there.
Yeah, I heard that a little while back because of somebody I knew that actually somebody that knew the Dreaming knew Chris Hall, Dan, this guy Dan Kincaid. I worked with him and we worked on music together. And you should check him out. He's pretty cool.
Okay,
More of
gotcha.
like more of a kind of a, I guess, Depeche Mode, Cure, Marilyn Manson kind of mixed.
Yeah.
Is what he sounds like. But yeah, he showed me them.
Oh man. Yeah, I think I mentioned that one time that I was backstage at one of the Skinny Puppy show in 1990 at when they played the Latin Quarter.
Oh yeah. I remember you saying that.
Oh
Yeah.
God, I gotta tell this to everybody out here. It was easy pickings. Basically earlier that day before they closed the doors for everybody else was just started gathering outside to get inside.
Easy
Basically,
pickings, like you mean like all the women that were there were.
well, actually, easy pickings to get inside backstage. Basically,
Oh, okay,
yeah.
okay.
Well, I was inside of the venue earlier because it was freezing cold outside, and one of the road crew members saw me freezing my ass off. A couple others to say, "Hey, want to come outside?" Sure, it said, "Sure, I would love to." And they were starting to get send their equipment up there and such. Talk to Olger a little bit. He remembered I first met him when he was a guest appearance on the ministry show at that same venue months earlier. And basically I wanted to say hi to him and basically say, how you doing? Basically, we got to
Oh
know each other a little bit there. Nice guy, by the way. I don't know if you ever met the dude.
no, no, no. I never really even.
Nice guy, great guy. And basically, whatever time, whatever puppy came to town, or ogre came to town with his group, or with KMFDM one time, or with Pigface, which was a super group basically of all these industrial acts, from the Thrill Kill Call and Chem Lab and stuff. I was there to say hi to the guy. One time when he was on tour with KMFDM, he got me on the guest list around '97 when they played Pontiac, Michigan.
That's pretty awesome, man. That's El Pontiac, Michigan. Like,
Pontiac, Michigan, yeah, where the Pontiac Silverdome used to
yep.
reside. You remember that venue there?
Oh yeah, the Silverdome was huge.
Yeah, it was. I've never been inside of it, basically. And I was supposed to say hi to him when they played in 2009 at the Royal Oak Music Theater in Royal Oak, but sadly, he was just feeling sick. They had to bring in an ambulance because he had what do you call an intense flu, basically. So after I moved to Texas, they were playing Houston in the 2015. I went out there and hung out a little bit, and Ogre recognized me. He remembered me from all those times I came and see him. You
Well,
know.
you don't forget the doctor. I mean, when you meet the doctor, like who the fuck forgets the doctor? You meet Doctor Earl, you remember him.
Yeah, even my friend Shelly even mentioned that in one of the comments. It's on my Facebook photo section there. Who can forget Earl, basically.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Meet Earl, you want to never let him go.
Yeah, so it was good, so Daddy remembered me because the last time I saw Puppy live was in a 20 not there was excuse me, well yeah, the Last Rites tour in 1992, basically. You know,
Wow.
yeah. And after that, they broke up in 1995, and then they got back together in 2003 actually, and when they put out The Greater Wrong or Right, which was a pretty damn good record, when you think about it. You know.
Yeah. Yeah, like you said, I mean, they really, I want to say like early 2000s is when they, like you said, they changed a little bit there, but for the most part, like, yeah, they never tried to do what all the other industrial bands, I mean, trying to turn a little more pop and things like that for the most part. I mean, they
Yeah.
didn't really.
But keep in mind the only thing they ever came close to pop basically was the song Tester, a song about animal testing.
Right, which is
Yeah.
weird, but
Yeah.
yeah.
But then again, it's fits to say that song basically helped give the animal rights movement the big boost it needed, because about a couple years soon after that, uh, artists like Paul McCartney, Betty White, they would start speaking up about against animal abuse. Everybody else was pretty much catching on just the same. Because basically it was a sin to eat meat. It was go vegan or vegetarian was the thing to do at that time, basically.
Oh, yeah. And a lot of people at the time ate their own meat.
Yeah.
I'm fucked up, man.
I know, it's okay, man. It's kind of funny. So, dude, going back to the trendies thing, I remember this one time. There was this one place called Lipsticks in the Clinton Township area, and they had this alternative nights on Sundays, and there's nothing more hilarious than seeing some preppy dude with a long wool sweater, shorts, and loafers without socks trying to dance to Bauhaus's Bela Lugosi's Dead.
Bella Lugosi's dead.
Yeah.
Holy dude. I
Gosh.
saw them with Jack Off Jill along or something. I think it was
Yeah.
a long time ago.
Yeah. I guess it's safe to say
That's
that song basically was one of the grand masters of goth songs out there, basically.
Oh yeah, yeah. I definitely think you're right. It was a lot of people heard it, even if they didn't know what it was.
Yeah.
They heard.
Yeah. I thought it was interesting to hear because of all the effects that was going on with the guitar and the drums there, basically.
What do you like? What do you think about like the newer sort of like music? Because there's so much like, you know what I mean. There's a lot of electronic music now again, like, but it's more the new wave sound. Um,
Like David Guetta.
like I like Birthday Massacre. Like I like Birthday Massacre. You like?
I've heard Birthday Massacre from my girlfriend at the time. A couple of songs. They were pretty good there. I know
Yeah. Oh,
I
like
know she turned me on to another group. I guess called Null Device. She made a tape of me. There's some of their soon tunes there, which was pretty damn good. She was living in River Rouge at that time and on a cloudy day. So whenever I hear songs from that album, I think of that time, going to her house at the time to pick her up to go somewhere, whether it's a
yeah.
place called Penny Pincher or Gibraltar Trade Center, which was not far from where they lived.
You ever slap her around?
No, I never did that. I slapped her ass.
That's what I mean. Like in bed,
Yeah.
like
Oh
just a little.
yes, I have done that. Yeah, slap that ass, slap that pussy. Bam, bam, bam.
Oh my god, dude, that was the best clip ever. Slap that ass, slap that pussy. I'm clipping that.
There you go.
I am clipping that, Dr. Earl.
All right,
Slap
cool.
that ass, slap that pussy. Slap that ass, slap that pussy. Slap that ass, slap that pussy. You know what? I'm gonna make an industrial song later. I'm gonna put it to Dr. Earl. I'm gonna put the sample of you. Like,
There we go. That's be cool.
I slap that pussy. Pum, 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 pum,
And
pum.
have
Like,
one of Tommy screams as a result after I say
yeah.
that. Like slap that ass, slap that pussy. Wow.
Yeah, slap that ass, slap that pussy, slap that ass, slap that pussy. Loud, 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 slap that ass, slap that pussy. Pum, 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 pum. It's gonna be crazy.
Marvin What's in the chat? He's got the idea right there. What up, Marvin?
Bitch! I just
Freedom.
I just started my gaming stream, Dr. Earl, and I'm
All right.
telling you, man, this guy just made a catch that was out of this world insane just now. Like
Cool.
anybody who saw that, like that was nuts. I am live right now on Dr. Earl's channel.
We're simulcasting. He's live on his channel right now. What's it? Evil Spectrum 3, I think it is.
Yeah,
Or,
well, I went live on Joe Cronin show, so I'm live on Joe Cronin show, and
cool.
I'm still talking to Dr. Earl for a little while longer here we were talking about music and shit.
Yeah.
Had a good time, and now I just made a crazy catch that was insane. But yeah, I mean, dude, Front 242 and God Lives Underwater and the Stabbing Westward and Depeche Mode and all that stuff. That was all stuff that I listened to because of each other. Those bands would. A lot of times it's because those bands would talk about each other that I would find out about them.
Yeah.
Back in the day,
Got to meet Pat, one of the members of Front 242. He was guest DJing. What it was called it was called Industrial Fest. They had a Meat Beat Manifesto, Clock DBA, and some other group. And Patrick Cooney's from Front 242 was the guest DJ there, and I got a picture of him. It's on my Facebook there. I should probably post it on Twitter soon, probably.
Yeah, it'd be cool. That's pretty awesome, man. Like, I mean, we talked about a lot of cool stuff like that. I always think about like with the industrial stuff and the other thing that we talked about stabbing earlier. The one thing that helped them was they were also in Chicago, so they really had this
the wax track sound, basically.
Yeah, they had that front line to wax tracks to all that stuff. Problem is, like there was some harsh critics out there probably because they were so snobby about industrial out there and who's really industrial and what's really going on out there. So, but yeah, it's crazy to think about back then what they were doing there.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. So nowadays we have, as I mentioned, Suicide Commando, Atheistic Perfection, VV Nation. Basically, there are other. The main label right now that kind of like took off where Wax Tracks left off is a label called the Metropolis.
Metropolis Records. Oh
yes.
yeah.
And JB somebody asked me. JB is like. Just to JB, not JB we all know. He asked, did you ever get into the rap scene in Michigan? Well, there was this one group I did check out one time opening for Ice-T at the Ritz in Roseville. It was a group called Hit Squad. They were from 7 Mile, and basically they rapped about what was going on on the streets and stuff like that. They were pretty good there, and basically. I haven't really checked out that much of the rap scene in Michigan because, obviously, but the one person I want to check out is basically Jay Menace because he lives in Houston. We follow each other on Twitter there. He calls in on the Super Ugly show a couple of times. I think he called on your show. I think one time.
Oh yeah, J-Man Ace
J,
or J
yeah,
Menace
J
something. Yeah,
Menace. Yeah, J Menace.
yeah. I don't remember. I forget. He might hate me now. I don't remember if that guy still likes me, but yeah, I remember him.
Hmm. Yeah.
I think I do remember him. Yeah, he was cool. He was always cool to me. I always thought he was pretty cool.
All right, that's nice. It was kind of funny, And Casatana says, I'm echoing on your stream, believe it or not.
Oh yeah, I see what's going on. It's because I set my audio for you to be better. My bad. There he goes. He's fixed. What's up,
Ah,
everybody?
there we go. Isham, Awesome Dre, Project Born, or Danny K. I've heard of Isham. Basically, he's a satanic rapper, basically. And he has
Oh, yeah.
satanic rapper. Yeah, I gotta point this out. Do you remember a thing called horrorcore?
Yeah.
Yeah, the Flatliners, Isham, and a couple other satanic rappers out there had, I guess, it's Russell Simmons' little nephew rapping from a noose in one video, I guess.
That's pretty funny, man. You're hanging from a noose rapping. That's pretty cool.
I know. Basically, it's like they figure, you rapped about guns, you rapped about boozing it up when 40 OCs, you rapped about, banging chicks, where's there to go? Basically, so
Yeah.
they decided to go that route,
Yeah, I like new stuff from rap. So yeah, anything like that would be really cool to listen
Yeah.
to. I
Maybe,
intercepted the ball. Look at that.
no, go ahead. What?
No, I'm just I'm killing it, man. Dr. Earl, you're like a good luck charm. You know what I mean?
Ah, nice.
You're a good luck charm, man.
Maybe some
I mean,
maybe some of these new rappers like Isham and Flatliners should give these new rappers a good lesson on how to rap properly, like a Kodak Black and all these emo rappers out there.
yeah. I mean, these guys are a mess. I mean, Kodak. "Send with my family.
When I,
Like,
that
you
that
fucking know.
fake that faggot car thing you came up with was fucking awesome, man.
Was my favorite thing, man. I was like, that is I mean, dude, when I said the thing about his kid, that was the most messed up thing ever. Like,
I know, man.
I'm sorry, Kodak.
And but don't. If you're a thug, if you're a rapper, you don't drive a pink car for crying out loud.
Yeah, I mean, unless you want to get butt pumped.
Yeah, exactly. In fact, may I suggest that all the guys out there who think it's okay to wear pink, no, okay? Unless it has the word Floyd next to it, don't wear pink, okay?
Well, I mean, listen, I think anybody can wear pink if they want to wear pink. I'm okay with it. Dr.
No,
Earl, I know you're not.
no,
Dr. Earl will kill a bastard, but I mean, like, I'm okay with it. You want to wear pink? I'm fine with it.
yeah, but I'd rather eat it, basically.
You rather eat it, like
Eat the pink, basically. I
eat the
remember us eat the poon, yeah, eat the pussy.
eat. The okay, say eat the pussy, eat the pussy, eat the pussy, eat the pussy.
Eat the pussy, eat the pussy, eat the pussy, yum yum. Eat the pussy, eat the pussy, eat the pussy, yum yum. How about that?
You have no idea what kind of song I'm going to turn that into later,
Oh, I
Doctor.
can't wait to hear it, dude. Can't wait to hear it. Send it to Tommy, and maybe he'll teach him how to actually eat pussy.
Oh my god, dude, you just sounded like Cookie Monster. It was horny. Oh my god, man. That's cool.
Pussy.
Tommy's pussy. Well, that sounds like the guy who calls him, actually. Yeah, I'm gonna call Tommy the pussy.
Yo, what the fuck is up with that guy? Basically.
I don't know, but we basically found out who it is because what happened is, I've said this before, but bottom line, Tommy had something personal going on in his life go on.
Mm-hmm.
And the guy and Tommy told me and maybe like one or two other, I thought like maybe nobody, but apparently Tommy told like 4 people about this thing that was going on.
Yeah.
And, he told me and one other person that I know I wouldn't believe it said anything, but then he told 2 other people, his roommate that was threatening all this stuff about him, and then Worley.
Uh-huh.
He told those 2 guys. So the guy called Tommy's phone, doing the classic Tommy thing, saying like, "Tommy, it's me, you motherfucker." And then he said something about me to Tommy. He said, Joe talked about, that private thing that I just told you about, Dr. Earl? Like,
Yes.
I said he had some private thing.
Yes.
So that private thing that I'm saying that guy knew about, he told Tommy that I talked about it on the air. which I never did because like I would never do that, obviously. But because I knew that this thing about Tommy, I told Tommy specifically, I said, dude, don't tell anybody about this and don't tell anybody on the air about it either. And so Tommy was like, okay. But Tommy told two people from shows, me and somebody else. And then he told those two, Worley and the roommate. Now, Worley and the roommate shit on Tommy at some point, and they don't get along. So I'm like, well, right there, that tells you who did it, because I didn't bring it up on the air and talk about it anywhere because I was protecting Tommy. I was like, I'll never tell anybody about this. Even Justin Bailey didn't know about it, and Leah didn't know about it. And when I was talking to Tommy about it, Leah was like, "What are you talking about?" And I'm like, I won't even tell anybody. So, and then Tommy told JB, but the bottom line is only that those people could have known about it. So now we know who the person is that calls Tommy, because Tommy played the voice message of the guy calling him. And he's like, it was him. He was like, "Hey, Tommy, it's me." Like, he was doing the same thing. And I was like, wow. So that means it's not a troll from my community. You know what I mean? So I basically told Tommy that, like, oh, dude, it's not. Look, we just found out that this is not a troll from my community. We just found out that it's one of your trolls. It's because it's got to be one of those two guys. You know, because I didn't say anything. And I don't think the other guy that he told would say anything. So basically we found out who that guy is. It's either Tommy's former roommate or it's Worley. It's one of the two of them.
Yeah. It was kind of funny. It was like Tommy's got to be really. Was it official that Worley was the one who subbed to those gay channels behind Tommy's back officially?
It's really hard to tell, man. I mean, I gave up caring about it. Because who knows? Who the fuck knows? Tommy said it was him, but then he's blamed stuff on him before that he didn't do, and then they blame things on each other, so I have no idea. Yep. That's some kind of sexual relationship there that I don't know about,
because at times I feel like I'm in the middle of those, between the beef between those two. Like, Woolery reached out to me, basically I explained that he saw my video talking about my commentary about the situation between those two. And basically, he's like, "Yes, sir. What would you like to need to know?" So he said, as I mentioned, follow me back on Twitter and DM me. I tried to get him on my channel a couple of times, but he's working a lot, busy, a lot of hours there. So basically, I gotta stop using that word. I'm becoming a habit.
Basically.
I am a creature of habit, folks. So when I can start saying certain words and stuff like that, it's hard for me to quit. So I got to definitely work on that in the future.
It's like it's a comfort word. A lot of people do it. It's like it's like people say like that, or
sweet or nice or something like that.
So then so it's like a set word. It's a word to. While you're thinking about what you're saying, you throw that word out there. It's just something you do. Yeah,
cool or
Yeah. Well, that's it's a different type of acknowledgement, I guess. So that's okay. But yeah, it's something that, like, when I was in radio, when I was in college, and I was taking radio, and when I was in customer service for telephone stuff, that's something that they addressed in both of those places. Like, don't say don't say this, don't be like that. Drive the conversation and be commanding of it, and know what you're saying definitively, and you'll sound a lot better than. So that's something that I got better at too. And I still do it to this day. And depending on who I'm talking to, sometimes you do fall back into those habits. But yeah, for the most part, I trained a lot of that out of myself. But it's something you learn after a while, I think.
Yeah, that's true there.
Just like condolingus on a ape.
Oh man.
Hey, let's play this from Dr. Earl. Listen to this, everybody. Listen.
All right.
You couldn't hear it, but that was your eat the pussy.
Oh, okay, I couldn't hear it. Yeah, that's right. I have to go on your show later on and listen to that.
Oh yeah, wait, when Justin Bailey hears this clip, he's gonna faint.
Oh man, he's gonna be on the floor laughing at that one.
Oh yeah, dude, he's gonna be on the floor whacking it. But yeah, listen, I guess I'm gonna run. But I mean, hey, Dr. Earl, like I had fun talking a little bit about
So did
industrial.
I. So did I. I was glad to do this. I'm going to definitely share this link to my friend Pockets. I promised I was going to do that for her.
Oh yeah, I'd love to
Yeah.
see pockets.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, her real name is Linda, basically, but she prefers to be called Pockets. For
Yeah.
some reason I don't know, but you know what? Definitely, I promise her and a couple others to send this to them through
Does she
Facebook or
have a
something.
hot pocket?
Pretty much, yeah. But I know her husband would agree as well.
Boo!
Yeah,
Boo
no.
him! Boo him! Boo a husband!
Yeah. Well, he's taller than me, so and plus he's a cool guy, so. But shout out to you, Pockets, and everybody else. Danny from Das Machine, or AKA DJ Mormon. Got to give him a shout out there.
Yeah, man, definitely. And shout out to all the bands who still keep that music going nowadays. Touchdown for me. And yeah, man, German industrial too is just something that still to me is still really pretty
And
hot.
one, the band and one. I was requesting them like a couple of times last night. Just didn't play it sadly. They were too busy with other shit. They got tons of requests, but it's been a while since I heard their song "Military Fashion Show." That was a favorite of mine.
Yeah, and let's not forget Dingo Warrior Surprise. That was another great hit. No, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. It's been fun. Been on
It's been
Doctor
fun.
Earl channel.
All right,
Doc,
it's fun.
uh,
Fun. I'm glad you came by. Was able to come by, and we can hang out tonight.
yeah, man, this was a lot of fun. I had a
It is
blast.
fun. Yeah.
Come back again, no doubt about it.
All right, so all right, I'm gonna end this on go over to the Joe Cronin Show channel and check out Joe's live gaming stream right now, folks. Okay.
Hey,
You,
thank you, Doctor Earl.
all right, so shout out to you, Joe.
All right, man. I love you, Doctor Earl. You have a
Love
good
you
night. Rock
too.
on.
You too.
Come on!
All right. Joe Cronin, ladies and gentlemen, and we'll end this right here. Once again, shout out to the staff at Numbers for putting on some great talent up there, including DJ Wes Wallace on every Friday night. If you live in the Houston, Texas area, you know who he is there. Every Friday night, it's a classic number. Wes Wallace every Friday there. And also shout out to you know, Dave and Mina, the DJs from Underworld, which I'll be attending on this coming Saturday. Not really this coming Saturday, but basically, I'm getting tongue tied here. Shout out to Numbers in general. The Houston, Texas equivalent to St. Andrews Hall. Okay? All right. Thank you for watching, everybody. Have a good one. Subscribe to my channel and subscribe to Joe Cronin's show as well. Bye bye.